morning. You're listening to 92.7 Arrow FM, and this is the Nothing Personal show with Nikki King. And we are part of the Wairarapa Women in Business Facebook community. So there's a number of us in that group. There's about 600 these days, which is not a small community. And we're sponsored by Wairarapa Osteopathy. Jane Burns, who's got 2 practices. She's got one in Carterton and one in Masterton at the Self-Heal Clinic. I think she's also at the Wairarapa Natural Health Centre, which is on the High Street, where the Self-Heal Clinic used to be there. So that's where she is. And thanks, Jane, for sponsoring our show. Thanks for believing in telling women's stories. That's really cool. And we're also sponsored by my business, which is Fuzzbox Designs Limited, and we do websites, graphic design and marketing. But we do a bit of anything that's creative, really. We're creatives. We're creative in development, which is what we do. We do actual website development, and we're also creative in the marketing side. So if you want something that's really creative, a bit off the wall, and totally custom designed for you, that's Fuzzbox Designs. We're not a one-size-fits-all kind of business. I just want to get that in there. Okay, so this morning we've got a repeat guest in the studio, and I wanted to bring Teresa back. It's Teresa Dixon. You might remember her from one of my earlier shows when I was a bit wet behind the ears, and I wanted to bring her back because it fits in with my fitness journey. I've got a vlog if you're interested. It's called Nikki's CrossFit Journey, and it's all about my CrossFit journey, but now it's all about I'm doing couch to 5k as well, and getting my nutrition on point. So it'd be good to talk to Teresa this morning and talk about health, body MOTs and aromatherapy. So we're going to say hello to Teresa. So hello, Teresa. How are you this morning?
Good, thank you, Nikki.
Oh, cool. So just tell everybody who hasn't seen you before a little bit about the what you do.
So I'm a health and movement coach. I'm from the UK. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. My qualification is UK based, so I am the only person in the Southern Hemisphere doing this.
Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive.
For now. So I actually take quite a holistic look at an approach to the human body. So movement, how we eat, how we sleep, what fluids we take in. These are all aspects of health, and most or a good chunk of diseases today are lifestyle related. Yeah. So we've actually got to get on top of our lifestyles, we've got to get on top of our stress and just be really aware, because running a bottom of the healthcare system, if you're at the bottom of the cliff, it's a long way back up to the top.
Exactly.
But if you actually start thinking about it, you can actually stop yourself falling. So, it's not hard to be healthy. I'm not someone that does, you have to be perfect all the time. The 80-20 rule, where, 80% of the time, if you do things right, it doesn't matter if 20%. It's very much about balance in all aspects that we do.
Yeah, I think that's more achievable then, isn't it? Really, if you fall a bit off the cliff, cause...
if you're having a tired day and you don't want to do your exercises, or you're going out with friends and there's you go into like on a Friday morning when we do once a month when we do the Women in Wairarapa, I'll always have a treat when I go in, because you can't help it going in the Clareville Bakery.
No, Clareville Bakery is a bit of a temptation, isn't it? I find that quite difficult myself as well. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful cakes. I highly recommend that. And after CrossFit on a Saturday, we do this breakfast club, which actually was very exhausting this week. We go to the 10cc, which is owned by the same family.
Oh, right.
10 o'clock cookie. And their breakfasts are to die for. But they do some healthy ones up there. They do the paleo big breakfast and is it Kaimana bowls, the bowls. Oh, they're yummy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel so bad going there.
Yeah, and it should never feel bad.
No.
Yeah, so it should just be a treat. And if you've worked hard and you all week you've been good with your diet, if you just sort of go, so be it.
Yeah. So when I first met you were. This is quite interesting because it's because I met Teresa that I started really thinking about my health, because I met her just before I met Al from CrossFit, and I had been thinking about sort of, because I committed at New Year, you know how you do, to this is going to be my better year, but I don't like resolutions because I think you're going to fall off the resolution 3 days later. Yeah. So I thought, well, I always have a little plan each year. And this year was to be better. And I actually said when I was organising Glastonbury last year, which I'm not doing this year, but this was my year of fitness. And so I had been thinking about it, but I hadn't seriously thought about it till I met you and Alan halfway through the year. So, and you've got this thing called the body MOT, and you're trying to get me to do that. So yeah, that was quite an interesting thing. So tell me a little bit about that.
So the body MOT really looks at health markers.
Yeah.
So if you're aware of what's working well in the body, what's maybe just overloaded a little bit. So things like, just for example, is if you've got high blood pressure, your pre-diabetic state, so a blood glucose test, and you've got cholesterol, that's something called metabolic syndrome. So it's basically it's a ticking time bomb for heart attack, stroke, all of those diseases, but they're all preventable. So high blood pressure. So we've got to work out why it's high. Is it you're doing a stressful job? You're not putting in enough relaxation time? Are you not eating properly? Are you not getting enough exercise? And, your real sedentary job. Just the same as, you could have somebody who's like a farmer, a builder that's physically moving all day and then still tired, but they might not be doing their relaxation.
Yes.
And it's all about balance. So it's about creating that pattern and learning your pattern. One size fits all. So everybody went on a paleo diet, but if you're actually a person that burns carbs, you might be hungry all the time, so you might not be doing yourself a justice. So learning about you and how your body functions and what's working well in it and what we could improve.
I think that's a very good plan, actually, because I've been doing CrossFit now for and I'm glad I did. Thank you for suggesting exercise, and it is totally the right thing for me because I just love the variation and stuff. But I've been doing CrossFit for over 90 days. I've got a little counter on my website now. You can see how many weeks I've been doing it, but a number of weeks, months now, 3 months probably over. And I'm starting to feel the effects of not eating properly.
Yeah. So now that you're exercising regularly, you've started your couch to 5K running, your fueling's quite important. So you've got to sort of start with the basics of making sure you're getting your carbs, you're getting a good amount of protein, you're getting healthy fats in, you're drinking fluids, and you're getting what I call nutrient-dense foods.
Yeah.
So the closer it is to a whole food, the more nutrients it has in it. So, and sometimes it's just simply looking at someone's diet, getting them to do a wellness log. So we've got to try and track what's your biggest hindrance, what's really holding you back. And it might be, I know we spoke earlier about sleeping.
Yes.
So it might be that your sleeping patterns are really what's making you tired and fatigued all the time. Because when we look at your food diary, everything could be, actually it's fairly well balanced. We may need to make some portions bigger and some portions smaller. Or it might come down and you're not drinking water.
Yes.
So it's really about what your body's doing and how we can coach you through that process. So how can I inspire you to take a look at yourself and actually take ownership of yourself?
Yeah. And you have a few little machines that help you do this body MOT, don't you?
Yeah, so I've got a body stat machine which gives me your body composition. So it's a bioimpedance. So it goes on the hand and foot because, so if I stood up, I'm much heavier in my lower body.
Yeah,
I've
me
got
too.
Bigger hips. So if I stood on one of the scales, my body fat might not actually be that accurate.
Yeah.
So because it goes hand and foot, we're actually getting a body whole body reading as such. It then would give me your fluids, so I can tell whether you're dehydrated or not. It will tell me where your water is, so whether the water is getting to your cells. If it's not getting into your cells, and you're staying dehydrated, it could be because your stomach isn't working very well, so you're not digesting your foods. Your large intestine isn't processing the water properly and staying in balance. Gut health is really important to me because, we are what we eat, but more importantly, we're what we absorb. So
but you know what? I read somewhere that that's your second brain.
Yes. Yeah, it is because the gut instinct.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll sort of go, oh, that, and you don't know why, and it is, and it does work. It works on its own, so it doesn't need something else. So it has its own generic system. So if, for instance, you're like me, an anxious person, so even though I know Nikki, I got quite about coming on the radio show, my stomach might tighten up.
Yes.
It might, it might churn around. I might get that butterfly feeling.
Yeah.
I will get dehydrated because of all of that.
Yeah.
And it's understanding me. to help myself.
Yeah, and you know what? It's very important to get hydrated. That was one of the changes I made after speaking to you, actually. Yeah, and trying to make sure that I drink water more often.
Yeah, because, I mean, for me, water is to fat like oxygen is to fire. So if you're wanting to sort of change your body composition, if you're not drinking enough fluids, you're going to make it really hard work.
Yep.
To the same degree, I'm not saying go out there and drink loads and loads of water, because as much as too little water will kill you, so much with too much.
Yes.
So the body MOT is really teaching you about body balance and homeostasis. Yes. So how do we keep our body in the optimum middle? Yep. To where we operate well from. And sometimes we will get a cold, or we will have a stressful situation, like for you going out to a gig and then you've got an early client the next day, you know, and then all of a sudden you're feeling tired, so you might not get up on the Sunday and do your couch run. But you've got to go, hang on a minute, I've just spent running around, I was up till 2 a.m, I then was up at 9, I spent 4 hours with a client, my body might need rest.
Well, I've just realised that my gigs are probably very much like doing a CrossFit workout. Yes. So I should have my protein shake after that or something, or some protein.
And making sure, because when we actually use our voices, we dehydrate.
Yes.
So actually sipping the fluids all of that day, making sure that you're really hydrated going into it, because you're gonna, because I know I've seen you on how some of your live gigs on the YouTube. Yep. You're very vibrant and you're very bouncy on stage.
Yes.
So that's movement. You know, it requires energy.
It does require a lot of, and there's a lot of adrenaline going on, like that stress that you were just saying. There's
it's a lot of stress.
It's good. It's like it is like exercise endorphins, which are also another positive thing. But it's a stress, and it does put a lot of load on your body, because you get something called the post gig come down the next day. Yep. Which is where you're completely depleted. It's like doing a CrossFit workout, a hard one. You feel completely depleted, quite emotional. Yep. Quite down. So I think there is
from this big high.
Yeah, it's a depletion of everything, I think.
Yeah, and sometimes that's working out. So it might be we go on a Sunday morning after you've done a gig, having an Epsom salt bath. Yep. You know, making sure you have a really good quality nutrient dense breakfast.
Yes.
And it might be some really nice foods in there. So you might have some smoked salmon. You might have poached eggs. Yeah. You know, spinach, mushrooms, tomatoes. Sort of really something that's rewarding you for your hard work yesterday.
Yes.
But, you know, in the same degree, it might be you want something slightly sweeter, so you might sort of go for sort of some banana and almond pancakes.
Yep.
You know, so it doesn't actually have to be white flours and sugars. There are some alternatives, and that's where it's just understanding when you can put them in.
Yes.
You don't want to eat them every day, but on a Sunday morning after you've done a gig, and especially if you're going to go up and go and do a run and things, you know, it's about getting that balance.
And I suppose if you've done the work, you know, at some stage you do deserve some of those rewards.
Oh, life would be very boring if we didn't. And, you know, do we want to become this person that just sits and eats, you know, lettuce leaves all day? No. And that's not about life, and it's not about living. So sometimes it's about understanding what you want to get out of life.
Yes.
And sort of how much energy do you need? Right, you haven't got enough at the moment, so what do we need to do to change that? So I might go to you, knowing that you work with computers, make sure an hour before your bedtime you're off any computers. Sit and read a book.
That's right.
You know, or sit and listen to some music. We listen to music in our house a lot.
Ooh, rather woman after my own heart.
Yeah, so we very rarely watch TV. Yeah. So, you know, because it's much more chilling, because we're more likely to have a conversation as well, rather than if you're watching TV, you just sort of go into that zone out and you don't really switch off.
That's right.
And things. And communication's really important for sort of keeping the emotions healthy as well.
Yeah. So, and your typical clients, I mean, you see lots of different people, don't you? It's not just like, you know, people, you know, you can start with small steps, can't you?
Oh, it's like I did with you. It's like, okay, in the ideal world, I would want to have done a body MOT with you to know exactly where you're at, because you've changed so much in the last 3 months.
Exactly.
But for me, I actually had to just sort of empower you to actually just get off your chair and start walking. Because I can remember having a conversation about, look, it doesn't matter whether it's just to the end of the drive and back, it's a start. You know, if you get out of breath, you stop. You gather your thoughts, you slow your breathing down, wait for your breath to come back, and you move on again. So it's about baby steps, and sometimes giving you achievable steps that you can start achieving. Because look where you've come to.
I know.
If you'd have said when I walked in your office and sort of said, "Oh, you're going to be running 5K by Christmas,"
I'd have laughed.
It's like you'd probably fallen off your chair.
It was like when Alan and Napera, they said to me in that village bakery in Kirrapuni, a life-changing moment that for me. Anyone could do CrossFit, and I laughed. I went like that. And, no, it's right. Anybody can take those steps if they want to.
And that's the key, if they want to. So for me, it's somebody who wants to change, who's actually committed to change,
yes,
and then sort of looking at where the capacity is to change. So some people, I can write a report, they take all the recommendations and they just do it.
Yeah,
it's that A-type personality that wants to achieve that. Yep, I can do that. Tick it all off. I've just got something to follow. Other people, it's a little bit more of right. Let's go. We've got to. What meal can we start with where you have control of? And a lot of people might say lunch or breakfast because everybody's independent in their household.
Exactly, because your kids can do their thing and you can do your thing.
Yours.
Yeah, that's totally right.
Yeah. So it's just about meeting you and where you're at and making a plan. So for some people, it's about getting them exercising better, getting them out of pain.
Yep.
Other people, it's, just looking at that wellness log and where their health is not reaching its optimum to get and stopping them doing the things that they want to actually achieve.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And also, it's just, as you can say, it's just little steps as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
achievable steps, but with a goal in mind that it's not that easy that, like, next week you're going to achieve your goal.
Yeah, no, that's correct. So that's cool. I'll go, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to some music, and I'm going to play something to inspire everybody today. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to play some Peyton Moretti, and she is an amazing girl who was a young girl, and she was at Glastonbury last year, but she's got this amazing, mature voice, and I think you'll enjoy this. It's called Little Guys. It's her latest single.
It's hard to see in the dark without the lights, but I know that you know where and how to turn them on. I know it's scary and you've told yourself you cannot do it, that you're a hopeless and worthless person, but you're not. Seems to be there's a lot of doubt up in that head of yours, that everything that's happened, you probably deserved it. Thinking this is all your damn fault, but it's not. You're the most beautifulest person. I know you've lost all trust in society. There is no good left in this world. What's the point in even being alive when you got a lot to live for? You just gotta fight. It's hard to let people in when the ones you love left you suffering. Save us, the little guys, from the path that you created, the obstacles we're facing. Save us, the little guys, from all your destruction when you left us on the pavement, broken, broken. And even though we're broken, we still have the right to live. We still have the right to live. We still have the right to live. Your walls are up and you're just as hard to obtain. It's so hard. Second guessing yourself isn't easy when the doubt in your head remains. Save us, save us, save us, save the little broken, broken, broken. And even though we're broken, we still got the right to live.
You're listening to 92.7 Arrow FM, and this is a Nothing Personal show with Nikki King, and we are sponsored by Wairarapa Osteopathy and Fuzzbox Designs. So thank you to those businesses for sponsoring the show. In the studio this morning, I've got Teresa Dixon from Intrinsic Performance, who is a body MOT coach and also an aromatherapist. So hello, Teresa.
Hello.
Hello. So we've been enjoying you talking to us all about health and wellness and the body MOT. So how come you got interested in doing this kind of work? What's your background?
So I initially did sports science at university. During that time, I did a sports injuries module.
Yep.
So fell in love. Then decided to swap halfway through my degree, so I did a high national diploma, and then sort of went into the sports therapy mode from there.
Okay, and so that you've always had an interest in health.
Yes, yeah. So from day one, I played lots of different sports. I've always been, I suppose, as a child, I've always been inquisitive to how things work.
Yes.
I would sit and break things open. I want to know sort of why things happen. I was probably that most annoying child who was sat there going, why? Because so for me it's a bit like, so if somebody does one thing, it works really well for them, and then you do another and it doesn't. So why is that? So actually starting to understand how we tick as human beings.
Yes.
So sometimes if you get an injury, we'll just look at the injury, but rather than going, okay, you've got the injury, why did it happen?
Yeah.
So if it was on a netball pitch and you were jumping and there was no other contact, we know it was a mechanical weakness.
Yes.
So then it's actually, rather than just fixing the injury, we actually have to change the mechanics of how we move.
Well, we had Jane Burns here from Wairarapa Osteopathy, and she was talking a bit about that as well, about the mechanics of the body and realigning things, And you work with lots of professionals, don't you?
Yeah. So in Palmerston, because I do 2 days a week still in the Manor 2, I work with a lot of squash players, a lot of hockey players, and just really teaching them how to move well. So some of them are quite young. So I've got a 17-year-old girl who's number one in Caitlin's number one in New Zealand for squash, who I'm working with.
Nice.
But she's also playing. She's that good. She actually plays for the women's team this year. So it's really important to them to look at load. So as they were growing, I'm really big on going, hang on a minute, pull your kid back.
Yep.
That child needs time to grow.
Yes.
So you can't have energy for doing sport, and this is what we were talking about, earlier, is what the body only has a limited capacity depending on how we fuel it and how we treat it. So, our emotions can really drain a lot of our energy. What we do can, or more significantly, what we don't do. So if we're really sedentary, our body just adapts to that.
Yep.
So we just get used to it. Just the same as a lot of people get used to moving in pain.
Yep.
Where if we actually mechanically got the body moving better, somebody's pain in their hips can be caused because they're having jaw issues.
Really?
Yep, the jaw mimics the pelvis and the pelvis mimics the jaw. So actually looking at how everything works, if we're dehydrated, dehydration can reduce the capacity of some muscles to work properly.
Yeah, oh really?
Yeah, and dehydration, once you go 1%, you're actually losing the ability to function from a brain perspective, because the brain is actually, 70% water.
Yes.
So, and most people don't realise the only fuel that feeds the brain is glucose.
Yeah.
So if we're totally on a carb, we're not eating any complex carbohydrates, as well as, so we're totally carb free.
Yep.
That's not always useful either.
No.
So, for some people, and especially if mentally you've got quite you think hard, you may need some good quality carbohydrates. So you're talking about your kumaras, you're talking about your vegetable sourced sort of carbohydrates, which are high in fibre, which, are good at releasing other energy.
Yes.
But again, it's about getting your energy balance right. It's fine if you're healthy to eat a certain way.
Yep.
But if we're not healthy, we may have to eat nutrients to actually bring us into health.
Yes, I can totally understand that, because from my journey, from my perspective, I started from a very unhealthy point.
Yep.
And it hasn't taken long to feel better, to be fair. It doesn't.
And to see the change.
No, it isn't. It doesn't take a lot. to change and to feel better. And anyone out there who's feeling a bit down in the dumps, I'm just going to say that it doesn't take that long to feel good about yourself. And people start commenting after, say, a month or so of you doing a program or
and I think it's about
eating
finding
better.
your safe space.
Yeah.
So I'd already sort of set the seed in motion when you met Al. He was like, yeah, anybody can do CrossFit, but he was putting you in that position where he was going to make you feel safe when you exercised.
And I also think that it is the people that you speak to, because I think Alan and Arpado were really nice people and I believed them. You know what I mean? It was not other people I've come across, and it's been...
Yeah, and then you were coming back and telling me what you'd done. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. They're really looking after you. They're being progressive. They're not making you, throwing you onto the floor to do your burpees. And
Well, do you know what? I had a moment...
I did see that.
Yeah, I had a moment of... actually, I feel like I've turned... There's been a big sort of, what do I call it? Breakthrough moment this week. Yep. I was able to run all my 200-metre runs. I threw myself to the floor. I can't say it was a burpee.
But it was close.
It wasn't very graceful, but, it did actually work my body out. And I did banded push-ups.
Yep.
And I actually did them properly with using my core, so I had terrible abs all day yesterday.
Yep.
But they have increased the pressure on me gradually, but they've kept it because I think this is not everybody. Some people need to be motivated, others can do it by themselves. And some people need pushing, because I'm a person that says I can't do that quite a lot. Yep. You wouldn't believe that, would you?
No.
But in exercise and
it's a real barrier for you because you see it as a barrier. So it's having someone to take those barriers away and go, hang on a minute, why do you see it as a barrier? And it's like, well, I can't. Well, let's just make it a bit easier than you can.
Well, they usually say you can. Here's how you do it.
Yes, that's what, and then you can.
Yeah.
And that's it. And sometimes it's a bit like, you're never going to run a marathon on day one of deciding to run a marathon. No. But it's you're not going to do it on day two either. So it's being realistic in your goals and finding something that really floats your boat.
Yeah.
So for some people, it's a bit like I say to some of my older people who garden lots. So what stretches do you do afterwards? Yeah. And they look at me as if to say, well, I've only been in the garden. How many times did you squat up and down? How many times did you lunge? How many times did you deadlift and bend over?
Well, that's functional fitness, isn't it?
If I told you and did that in the gym, you would look at and you didn't do a stretch or some form of cool down, even if it's just walking around the garden admiring your work, you would think of me strange.
Yeah,
but
that's
we don't
right.
actually see movement. So we've got to look at movement rather than just taking it into fitness. So for my objective is getting someone to move. So if somebody is a real sedentary person, I might go, move your printer into the next room.
Yeah.
So when you're sat at your desk and you press print, you actually have to walk into the next room to collect it. And then all of a sudden we're getting them moving.
Well, that's where I got the markers of my fitness, because you were saying, walk to the end of your driving back. I did. I used to go and get the mail. I used to, instead of waiting for Pete or the kids to go get it, I'd walk down to, and that's how I knew I was getting breathless going to the end of my drive. That's how unfit I was.
Yep.
And this weekend, our first 400 metres that I did, sprinted off up the hill. Just before the hill, I have to stop. I can't always use the hill. Coming back down, though, and this is something that I've noticed with running, is that I just got into a pace and I liked it. It was just like, and I ran all the way to the doors of the gym. I usually sort of give up like 10 metres before the end of the gym. And I was like, far out. That was a turning point for me. That was like a mental thing that just happened. But it is just those movements, they start you off, they make you realise that you have to do more. And Teresa's great. If you do want to get on a fitness journey, I recommend seeing Teresa and getting yourself a body MOT, and then she'll give you some advice, won't you? That's kind of the way it works.
And it's just really breaking it down to what's your biggest driver to compromising your health. So where do we actually start? Where can we make the biggest change?
That's right.
And sometimes we have to go, right, let's do something simple as well. Like somebody might drink lots of coffee, so I won't go, can't drink your 8 cups of coffee a day, but I might go, hang on a minute, before you have your next cup of coffee, I want you to have 250 millilitres of water.
Yes.
And then by the end of the day, they've only had 6 cups of coffee.
Exactly.
Without even knowing about it, because they've gone, Teresa says I have to, and so that's a really easy process to follow.
Yes.
So, and other people will go, I'll just cut down to 2.
Yeah,
and then
that's right.
I can add my water in. It might be looking at someone's food intake, so we can actually see, you know, what's the cause. So one of my squash players was having back issues. We had x-rayed, MRI'd with the sports doctor because we needed to know there was nothing physically wrong, because I didn't think there was something physically wrong, and there wasn't. All the x-rays and everything came back clear. But what we did work out was every time she ate wheat, her stomach would really, really swell and create back pain. She would get this. So the swelling in her gut was actually creating the inflammation inside, and then...
And was that to do with wheat?
Yeah.
So she doesn't eat gluten?
No, she's still, she you know, she's 18, 19, so she knows not to eat gluten in big competition times. But if it's somebody's birthday and they're for a piece of birthday cake, she knows the consequences, but she wouldn't do that on a Friday night before playing a squash game, on an important squash game on a Saturday. She might do it on a Sunday after she plays a tournament.
Yeah.
And it's all about recovery and how well we recover.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because that happens to my partner. He can't eat wheat without getting bloated like that.
Yep.
Yeah, so at least now, because we've been starting to address nutrition, because you want to perform better.
Yep.
We're looking at those things. And he stopped eating bread about 3 weeks ago and is feeling a lot better.
Yeah, and sometimes it's because wheat can be, for some people, very hard to digest.
Yes.
So with some people, we might put some digestive enzymes in to help support their digestion.
Yep.
Sometimes, if they're willing, it's much easier to take it out their diet for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then you can put it, then you can try it and see if you get bloated and sore and it makes your tummy ache.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, I'm intolerant to dairy, so a cleaner dairy. So if I have milk, if I've got a farming friend that gives me milk straight from a cow, I could tolerate small amounts of it, but I wouldn't have large amounts of it because it just slows my stomach down. You know, if I've eaten something and I've gone to friends and just been polite because we've had dinner and I've sort of said I don't eat cheese and dairy, and they've put cream in things and not really thought about it. Some people do. I will just feel really sluggish and slow for 24 hours. It just drains me.
Well, I've started to take the dairy out, and it's been quite good. Yeah, because I get a lot of sinus issues, and that's one of
dairy is very mucus forming in the body.
And I get it affects my voice. Throat. Yeah, so it's like, let's try that.
Yeah, so it's, if you think about the benefits of your singing, you know, helping build a stronger immune system for you, so that you haven't got this inflammation in your sinuses. So for me, it's a sign that the gut just needs more support.
Yes.
So, yeah, by eating the right things, you know, it can be that we're just eating too many of one type of food.
Yep.
And we're not getting enough variety.
Yes.
You know, the brain is made for variety. We can get very stagnant. Some people don't like just doing the same thing day in, day out.
Yeah, no, that depends.
Others do. It depends on, again, it's that personality.
Yeah.
And it's finding out where you fit in that. But most of us, to get a wide range of nutrients in, we need to eat a varied diet. But when we go in the supermarket, we sort of go, oh, spaghetti bolognese, we do this, we do that.
What's quick, what's easy?
What's quick, what's easy? So for me, it's pointing out, how do we get more nutrients into spaghetti bolognese? And it's a bit like, if your kids don't like eating greens, get your spinach, chop the centre out the spinach so you wouldn't know hard stuff. Finally chop it, throw it in, the kids won't even notice spinach. Grating carrots into things.
Yeah.
So it's about, how do you make some of your regular things that are really quick and easy to make more nutrient dense? So how do we add to them?
Yes.
So it's not always about taking away. It's about, let's see what we can add. If it makes you better, we don't need to take things away.
No, that's
right.
But
if it doesn't change, we've then got to look at, come on, you know, with one of my clients, she handed me her wellness log, and she sort of went, oh, I know totally where I'm going wrong. And I'm thinking, so I started reading it, and I'm thinking, her diet's amazing. But there was a bottle of alcohol a night.
Yeah.
It was very stressful at work.
Yes.
So we then spoke about, I didn't take alcohol away in the week. I spoke about, rather than a bottle a night, can we, over Monday to Thursday, one bottle, one glass a night?
Yes.
So you don't feel like you're going cold turkey. We've got to change that.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you know, so and again, that's bringing her into that 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like, if I'm going away for the weekend with the girls, I'll be super good all week. You know, 80% diet right, I can go and enjoy myself.
Yeah. And it is about that balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
And
is,
I think the
definitely.
emotional balance of how we view things, how we view food. Food is what, it fuels us, what creates us. You know, if we're not feeding ourselves right in our bodies, we're not going to function right. We're not going to get the most out of life. We're not going to be happy.
No.
We're going to feel tired all the time. Then, then life becomes a chore. So you've really got to look at what you want to do.
Yeah.
And what do you want to get out of life, and how do we get the best out of it?
It does make an amazing difference to your life, actually, to make these changes, because I can sit there and say that now. I couldn't have said this 3 months ago, that it, just having a good, strong core and eating better and exercising has made both me and my partner a lot happier.
Yeah.
And
you're doing things together as a family,
Yes,
because
that's
Sam
right.
comes as well, your other son, doesn't
do you know
he?
what? My 2 youngest have started doing the teen block CrossFit. So a whole CrossFit family.
But it's doing something together where sometimes in this day and age, families can be very disjointed. We can all be it can be very lonely because we can all be in the same room, but we're all attached to our phone, we're attached to the TV, we're gaming,
Yes.
we're doing something. We're not actually communicating. So now your family go off, you do this, and you can have that. CrossFit's nice for the competitive people because you're going to go, oh, how many did you beat last time? And it's just, again, it's achieving those little goals of, oh my God, I never thought I'd get to 10 because the first time I could only do 3.
Exactly, that's right.
And that's massive for some people.
It is, it is.
Compared to one of my athletes that go in and they're looking at, oh, I need to get 10% more on how much I'm actually lifting.
Yeah.
Where you're just getting to volume.
Exactly, it's just getting to movement.
Yeah.
Because I remember that if you go and look at my vlog, you can follow my journey on Nikki's CrossFit Journey.nz. My first ever workout, I actually squatted to a very high box.
Yeah.
It was the highest box in the gym, and now I can do it without any support whatsoever. That is in 3 months, so that's how you can turn your life around. But it's taking those baby steps, isn't it?
Yes.
And doing more and increasing and then challenging yourself a bit more.
Taking those first steps is probably the hardest. Actually deciding why you want to do what you want to do.
Admitting that you need to make some changes sometimes as
Being
well.
honest. Yeah.
To yourself.
And then that becomes a driver.
Exactly. Just lately, just being honest about certain things. I'm not going to take on too many projects. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be honest to myself. I think that's quite an important step.
And that's probably important. Balance is one of the key things to life. You have to have as much. You need to work hard. You need to play hard, and we need to have that balance. We don't want either of the two.
No.
To outweigh one or the other.
And I think, if the business women listening out there, I think it's important for them to be healthy, isn't it? What would you recommend for business women out there?
Well, for your businesses is if you've got someone that's not eating lunch or hasn't had breakfast.
That was me.
So by 3 o'clock in their afternoon, their function is going to be a hell of a lot less than somebody who's, drinking water. So it's encouraging the office to maybe drink water, have a water fountain, make it really easy, or, thinking about health challenges for the office, because the healthier your staff are, the more productive they are, and it's a win-win situation. So if they become more productive, you're getting more work out of them, and they feel better about themselves. So sometimes having some workplace, some of the government schemes that that they run, where you might do workplace fitness and some of the team events, and again, it's that creating that community you want to be in.
Yep.
So for your staff, what sort of staff do you actually want to employ? Somebody who, has the capacity to work well, can think for themselves, isn't ill all the time. A healthy person is going to be much more fun to work with and much more productive.
Exactly. And I think, as a business person, you can, especially if you work from home and you're freelance like me, you can sit behind your desk and you can forget what time it is.
Yep.
By 3 o'clock, you've not eaten anything, you're starving, you just go to the cupboard, you just grab whatever's in there.
Yep.
And that was all right for a while.
So now it's about planning.
Until you can't get your performance anymore.
Yeah, and you were getting colds, you were getting run down.
Yes,
so your immune system becomes compromised to all of that. And then you go, I'm getting cold all the time. Oh, I'm just, that's
right.
just, it's the middle of winter. Well, actually, the body shouldn't. We should have a good immune system.
Exactly.
So that it works for itself.
Exactly.
And, just thinking about that whole well-being of getting the balance of your food, a little bit of movement. It doesn't necessarily need to be hard out exercise and CrossFit. It could be going out and gardening.
Exactly.
It could be going out for a walk.
It could be going for a walk to the end of your road.
Yeah. So most people don't realise is the heart needs 30 minutes worth of exercise, minimum of 5 days a week, 6 days a week, just to keep it healthy.
Yes.
And, you know, until we actually start observing ourselves, so that's where that wellness log comes in for me, is what are we doing really well? Look, yeah, you're doing that really well. You're going to CrossFit. Are you actually doing all your stretches? You know, so at a certain point, you might need to put a recovery type class in. So it might be just sort of doing some stretches at home or every time you come home from CrossFit, because you might need to stretch more.
We do that as part of a program. So.
But you may need to stretch more than someone else.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is, the running, I wasn't stretching enough, and I've got a running routine that I do before I do it, because I'm getting Achilles pain and shin splints.
So mechanically for me, pelvis might not be working that effectively.
It's not. I've got one side that's worse than the other as well.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Jane from the osteopathy person last week. I was like, that needs probably addressing. Definitely.
So I would do a movement screen for that. So look at how well you're moving. Is one side of the body working harder than the other? Try and give you some exercises so to put in before and after your CrossFit or your running, and making sure that your stretching is unique to you.
Yes.
Because sometimes we can do generic things. So if we go to a spin class, we will do the exercise is right for spinning, but you might have been sat at your desk all day, so you might need to do some more glute stretching than the average person in the room. Right. So for me, it's sort of taking you into that group situation and going, oh, I need to do this one for longer, and I know that I don't need to stretch this one quite as much because I'm really flexible here. So again, understanding which bits are tight and which bits aren't. Can really help you.
That's right. I definitely think I need to get onto your body MOT this now and be brave enough to take it, because I was a bit of a health anxiety kind of person. I didn't want to know at the beginning. I wanted to, just get on this thing. I'm a bit stubborn sometimes as well, I just won't say it. But so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play some more music. I'm going to choose something nice to play. In fact, I'm going to go to my go-to song called, and this is a bit of Groove Lagoon, because I feel like that this morning. I feel like listening to some feel-good music. Here it goes.
Know better. We're closer now. Who's a new flavor wrapped around your finger? We're closer now. It's in your nature. Dance with danger alone. And I need it somehow. Change your behavior. Shoot me up to the bone. Enough till you spit me.
Good morning, you're listening to 92.7 Arrow FM, and this is the Nothing Personal Show with Nikki King, and we're part of the Wairarapa Women in Business Facebook community, and there's about 600 women in there. If you want to join the Facebook community, you can just put Wairarapa Women in Business in the search box, and we'll pop up, we're a group, and you can ask to join. Now, we do ask a couple of questions, and that's just to check that you're in Wairarapa and that you have got a business and that the group's going to be right for you, and if you don't fill them in, unfortunately, I haven't got time to go through and look you up and check out who you are, so we won't let you in. But if I know you, I probably will. But you've got to answer those questions. It's not hard. They're not hard questions. We're not gonna. It's not a test. It's just to screen people so we don't get people in there that we don't want in. But anyway, it's a nice group, and we have a different project. We're a different kind of topic each day, and we all talk about that. And there's a supportive group of women there to help each other, and I'm sure that Teresa will agree that there's a lot. They help each other out, the women in the group.
Oh yeah, it's immensely valuable. You can, in the meetings, you can bring something up. People have ideas. You can put polls on. You can sort of say, "Oh, I need help with so and so," and then 3 or 4 people go, "Oh, come and help me out." And you've met some people in the network that have helped you, eh? Yeah. Definitely. So for me, it was well worth finding like-minded people. Yes. I saw myself as a small person working, not necessarily as a business. Yeah. But then I found there was lots of other women in the Wairarapa with small businesses in the same position as me, and I didn't feel stupid asking those questions that I don't know about, because I'm great with humans and how people move, but maybe some aspects of getting my website right, you looked over it and was like, oh, we can do better than that. And it's like that support of knowing there's someone else there. I know, like, if you just need a plumber, you can put something up and then there's, somebody will know a plumber in there. But for me, using that community of trusted people within the community, I wouldn't recommend anybody that I wouldn't trust in my house and things like that. That's right, me too. Yeah, so all of a sudden you're getting that level of trust, and it's great to work with. Yeah, so it's a good group. Anyway, so you can join that, and we're sponsored. I'm just getting back to the sponsors. We're sponsored by Wairarapa Osteopathy. They've got 2 clinics, one in Carterton and one in Masterton, and you go to their website, Wairarapa osteopathy.nz, I think it is, and you can book online. So if you do need some osteopathy, and if you go back on YouTube and look at last week's show, there's a whole we had a whole discussion about osteopathy and how it can help you, so it's worth going back and having a look at that. So you can look at that on YouTube or on our wairapabusinesswomen.co.nz. all the shows are on there if you want to go back and watch any that you haven't seen, and we're on Wairarapa TV. Hello, Wairarapa TV, and we're on Arrow. We've got a podcast, so you can re-listen to this as well, and Jane's thing. And we're also sponsored by Fuzzbox Designs, which is my business, and we do custom marketing and website solutions and development. We do some web development as well, so we've got coding. So my husband is very good at coding. Anyway, Teresa's in the studio with me, Teresa Dixon from Intrinsic Performance, but she also she works with aromatherapy as well. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that? So as part of my body MOT, I need a way of helping with just minor emotional things. So if it's something major, I'm going to refer to someone else. But sometimes we just need maybe things like, I know we spoke earlier, you getting to sleep at night. Yes. So, and sometimes if I can get someone in a good sleeping pattern, and, so just choosing some oils that be really beneficial to you as an individual, that you can use to get you to sleep would really help. Yep. So, or I've got a Zyto scanner, so this helps me. It's basically an electronic questionnaire. So with all the other information and wellness information I've gathered, it's just reinforcing some things. So it may tell me that your immune system's quite compromised, and we may know that but it's sort of then going to say we might have an oil to support that. So for me, essential oils are volatile compounds that can go into the air and spread very quickly. They're not chemically changed, so that's why they're quite special. So when we inhale them, they go through the nose into the brain and can actually affect our limbic centre, so the stress response centre. So they can be very calming. They can be very uplifting. So they can make one smell can actually make quite a dramatic effect. sometimes we smell things and it makes us remember things.
I know, I was just about to say that. It's like you can go straight back to a moment in your childhood from a smell, can't you?
Yes. So, and sometimes it's creating that sort of special moment that where maybe a moment where you felt really safe.
Yeah.
So when we're in a stressful situation, we can put an oil on, and it can help calm us down.
Yes.
They're not a cure. For me, it's the same with diet. Everything is about supporting the body. The body should be capable of creating new cells, doing everything right, having good quality DNA, so we don't get any changes. So it's about what support systems we have. So it's one thing in my toolkit that I can use. So I've given it to some clients. I've helped them take control of like compulsive behaviours.
Yep.
Just giving them something to focus on. I use the digestive one. So if I've been out and I have eaten some dairy, I know if I get that gripey tummy, I can actually rub it on my tummy, and within 20 minutes it feels better. And a lot of people don't realise, rather than going for some paracetamol if I've got a headache, I would go for a little bit of one of my essential oils to put on to do that.
And you've been doing quite a bit of speaking around the area about your essential oils, haven't you?
Yeah, I suppose I did my aromatherapy qualification 20 years ago. I'm quite passionate about how they can just help uplift something, how they can... they're really simple, and sometimes they're really easy to use.
Yep.
So I am really about correct usage.
Yes.
Understanding that the oils are actually quite powerful. So what I try and do is empower you to actually, use them the correct way and just slowly learn what essential oils are, because they can be a great toolkit for your family.
Yep.
If somebody said to me, I could only have one oil, I'd probably go for lavender, just because if you get a burn, I would pop the lid off and pour it on, wrap it in cling film and get to the hospital type thing. So it's good if you get grazes, if you've it can help if you've sort of got some head tension and things like that. If you just need to drop to sleep quicker, these things can just assist in the process.
Those nice smells, they're quite relaxing, aren't they? And that's why supermarkets use it to sell things, isn't it?
Well, I mean, let's face it, is if you walk in the supermarket and you've got the nice fresh smell of bread, or you go somewhere and it always, that garlic smell cooking, it makes you hungry. So smells are really important to us. It's an important sense.
It is.
So, and it's probably an underrated sense. So I can, with some people, if you like that, it's a really good way of, for me, becoming less toxic.
Yes.
So I use some of the essential oils. I make my own cleaning things up. So, some good old baking soda and some white vinegar.
Amazing, isn't it?
And some either tea tree or lemon in my toilet. It smells great. It doesn't smell chemically.
No.
I'm somebody who can, if you come near me with a perfume that's quite what I would call toxic to me, I'll be sneezing my head off.
Pete hates artificial smells.
Yeah, I don't like artificial smells.
It's like people come, if you come to my house, it doesn't smell of air freshener, it smells we don't have any smells in our house.
Yep.
Because Pete really does not like artificial smells at
No,
all.
me neither.
And I've got used to that now. And you don't realise how underrated your sense of smell is until you lose it, because after I ended up not being able to smell for a little while, and it's really important, isn't it? It helps you eat better.
Yep.
So these essential oils, they smell lovely. I used to be drawn to patchouli when I was younger. I think all young teenagers like that one, especially if you're a goth.
Yeah, it is that sort of, it is.
But I still love the smell of that. It still takes me back to my childhood.
Yeah, and that's it. And so you can, apply oils in a different way. So I've got a diffuser. So I like you say, I don't like putting a chemical plug in, but I'll put my diffuser on. So it's just, citrus bliss can be, really nice, uplifting. People walk in and go, oh, that smells nice.
And they smell just like lemon rather than artificial lemon.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a little oil talk for a couple of clients in where I work in Palmerston in the bar, and two of the boys came in, and they always come in on a Tuesday night and just grab some beers, and they as they walked out, they went, best smelling beer we've had.
Nice, that's funny. So, gosh, we've got to 10 already. So if they want to get in touch with you about doTERRA or your body MOT or anything like that, have you got a website?
Yeah, ipcoach.co.nz. They can look me up. I'm on Facebook. Intrinsic Performance is my business in the Manor too, and IP Health and Movement Coach is the local one for anybody in the Wairarapa sort of thing. So.
Yeah, and you've got Facebook.
Yep.
And they can call you, email you?
Yep, they can give me a call on 021 029 80420 or drop me an email at teresa at ipcoach.co.nz.
Right, okay, so that's how you get in touch with Teresa if you want to see her. And I highly recommend getting a body MOT. It can help you make some changes in your life. And Teresa's just lovely. She'll help you make those steps one at a time, so you feel supported. So definitely get in touch, because it's been fantastic having you on the show.
Thank you, Nikki, for having me.
Yes, no, it's been brilliant. And just make sure that you do look after your health. Get in touch with Teresa. And we're coming up to the end of the show soon. Yeah, we are coming up to the end of the show. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks to Wairarapa Osteopathy for sponsoring our show, and Fuzzbox Designs, because we're an access radio station, and we are supported by local business. We don't get any commercial incomings. We don't have adverts, and all the shows are special interest shows. So these shows probably won't get put on if they weren't on access. So thank you to those businesses for supporting us. You can support Arrow by going to their Give a Little page and giving a donation to them, because we've recently moved to these beautiful studios and there's been some increased costs in that. So they would be grateful of any donation that you can send along to them. And good morning to everybody listening from Wairarapa Women in Business. Thanks for tuning in, and if you tune in next week, we'll have some more fantastic guests. Well, one fantastic guest for you next week at 9:30. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Teresa, you've been a fabulous guest.
Thanks.
And if you want to listen to this again, you can go onto YouTube, you can get the podcast, and it's on Wairarapa TV, 12 noon, 5 o'clock and 11 o'clock on Monday, and 6 p.m. on Tuesday. So that would be great. So thanks for tuning in, and goodbye.